Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, April the 13th, race number 8 at Keeneland. We're going a mile and a 16th on the turf, second level allowance, and it's a big field. Let's take a look at this group right now. We've got, 12 in the body of the race, 3 also eligibles, and the 16 creative minister entered main track only. That horse is already classic placed. Click or scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile, which includes free formulator past performances. Mike, the one verbal, 5-2 on the morning line. It's Chad Brown. It's Arad Ortiz. It's a very lightly raced 4-year-old who, when he runs, has done some good things. Already a graded stakes winner.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a little bit of talent. He just so far hasn't made it to the track that often. I think they got the right morning line favorite, Dan, but man, there are a few different ways to go in this race. I mean, there's some good horses in here.
There are some talented runners as well. Maybe the Timeform US Pace Projector will give us a few more clues. The number 7, Strong Quality, goes out for Mark Cassian and Florent Giroux. This horse made a successful turf debut going 2 turns at Gulfstream last time out, and this horse does have the speed to get to the front.
I can see him making the lead in this race. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the plan, but I don't see why they wouldn't at least try to get there with him. Dan, he showed speed on dirt. His turf debut last time, he just set a perfect trip, right up on the pace. He wasn't on the lead there, but he could have been.
Red Hornet, the 4, should also show speed, as he did 2 starts back. I think the post position last time out forced the jock's hand to take off of the pace. He has a better draw in here. Let's start things off with Verbal, a very talented 2-year-old. He won both starts at 2, including a graded stakes race. Unfortunately, it was just an abbreviated campaign, one and done. In 2022, that was the Transylvania at Keeneland. He ran in a grade 3 off a very long layoff last time out as a first-time gelding, and considering the layoff and considering the quality of competition, Emmanuel came back to win a graded stake at Gulfstream with a 96 Spire. He did just fine.
Yeah, I thought he ran fine in that race too. The trip was overall, I thought, a good one. And he did look like, though, maybe he needed that race. He was sort of staying on at the end, but didn't really finish, that strong. I still thought he ran well in there, Dan. You mentioned his only start last year, the Transylvania on this turf course. That, to me, that was just, the stupidest ride imaginable. It was a very tactical race. Jose Ortiz didn't get any position with this horse at all. Just sort of set him up 3 and 4 wide around the track. He got tired at the end. This is a major rider upgrade off the layoff here. He's got a great post on the inside.
The number 2, Cowboy Justice, campaigned in Ireland to start his career and was purchased for $59,000 towards the end of 2022 at public auction. He will make his North American debut off a 6-month layoff for trainer Connor Murphy, who has had success with European imports in the past. He'll get Lasix for the first time. He wasn't facing the best horses over there, although he did exit a key race last time out.
Yeah, and he was in some pretty big fields over there too. So maybe that, certainly is something that you want to consider here. I also feel like coming back off this layoff, first time North America, going shorter. I think that could probably help him a little bit too. I don't think he got better when they stretched him out there towards the end of last year. We'll see. He's got a lot to prove in this race, obviously, but he should be a good price.
Shug McGahee will send out the number 3, Creed. Luis Saez takes the mount. This horse in good form right now. A win in his final start as a 5-year-old in 2022. And I wonder if this is just another Shug trainee getting better with maturity, getting better with distance and turf. His last race at Gulfstream was okay. This is an allowance race, going a mile. Fell far behind, trying to squeeze his way through horses. He does well to finish 3rd. I just don't love this field. And with a horse with this running style, I don't want to take too short of a price, and he's 7-2 on the morning line.
I don't disagree with any of that. I don't love his running style either. I thought he ran fine in this race. He never was really a threat in there, but I thought he ran fine. I really liked his win at Tampa 2 back. Maybe that just had more to do with the field that he was in against, but man, did he finish up really strongly to win that race. I liked that performance from him, Dan. I like you. I don't like his running style. I do kind of feel like he's found a home on the turf, though, for sure.
Red Hornet did show speed 2 starts back in a long distance race in a second level allowance. Tired. Maybe it was just the distance that was too far. They cut this horse back last time out, going a mile and a 16th. It was a very tough post position and couldn't get to his usual forward position. That being said, he's been running out of conditions, isn't he? Still eligible for one other then?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I don't, I guess that's fair enough. He's just one of those horses who he's very consistent. I respect that about him. And it feels like he could get any kind of a trip in this race. He just never wins. And I feel that he's just giving away an awful lot to some of these horses who, are probably a little bit more talented than he is. And they're all, a lot of them are more lightly raced as well.
In from Southern California is the number 5 Script, who will be returning off a little bit of a layoff as a new gelding for Graham Motion. This horse was 5th last time out at Santa Anita. It was a good field. The horse that won that allowance race is now 3 for 3 on the turf after coming back to win a grade 3 with a 93 buyer. So Script's kept good company and is relatively lightly raced.
He certainly is. He's a horse who could definitely take a step forward. He's going to race as a new gelding. I didn't think he was a great price on the morning line, Dan. And he won his turf debut over this turf course. I thought he ran okay in that race. I don't really love any of his performances since then. I mean, he ran fine in some of those races. Obviously, I don't think he improved that much, and I think he's going to have to improve off the layoff here if he's going to win.
If you throw out the dull running line for the 6, Point Me By, and you could easily do it. It was at a mile and a half. They took a chance at a marathon distance, and it's obviously not what he wants to do. You're left with consistent effort after consistent effort after consistent effort, unfortunately for him, without winning. He exits a pretty good field at Churchill Downs towards the tail end of 2022. The winner of that race came back to run 3rd in an allowance with a 90, 4th in a grade 3 with a 90, and then 2nd in a grade 2 with a 93 buyer. So that horse can step a little bit.
That's true. I mean, I won't argue that point, Dan. I'm not a big Bay Street Money fan. I guess the argument to be made in his defense is I think that was either his first or second start after Maker took over, and I guess he is a little bit better since Maker got him. I'm still not a big fan of that horse. This horse ran okay to be second in there, but I think your other point's well taken, Dan. I mean, this is a horse who won a Grade 1 race as a 3-year-old, and he hasn't won since then. I don't think he's improved all that much either.
The 7 is Strong Quality, who should show strong speed, as he did in this start at Gulfstream. His turf debut going 7.5. He got a very nice trip in this race. He pushed a 20-1 shot. He makes the lead, and he goes about his business to win in professional manner. This was a very expensive weanling that looked like he wasn't going to pan out, but maybe he's finally found his niche on the turf.
Yeah, maybe. He did get a perfect trip in that race, but he won it fairly convincingly, I thought. I liked the way he finished it off there. He really didn't give anybody a chance to catch him through the stretch. Showed that he can handle the surface, and maybe he'll get another good trip in here, Dan. I mean, I thought he was okay on the dirt. I don't see why he can't be just as good on the surface.
The number 8, Hidden Enemy, is returned off of a short layoff in pretty improved form. Won off the bench, a first-level allowance race at Fairgrounds for the great Steve Asmussen, and then was rolling late last time out to just miss as the favorite at this level. He's another horse with a lot of seconds on his page. He's the kind of horse that needs a little bit of a trip from the back of the pack, but he's kept some good company throughout his career. You can depend on him running late a little bit at a big price.
Always shows up and runs. And it's interesting that his first 2 starts this year, he did run well in both of those races, but he didn't really improve all that much. I mean, he just kind of felt like he ran the same race that he always runs. Even the last one, he made up a lot of ground there, but he actually got outclosed by the winner who came from behind him. I don't know. I mean, this horse is fine, and he does show up every single time. He's going to need a trip, though, if he's going to come out on top here. You'll get a price, though, if you want to take a shot with him.
The number 9 is American Hero, and you can forgive this horse's most recent turf run, 3 starts back in the Colonel E.R. Bradley at the Fairgrounds against a field that's just a lot better than he is. 2 Emmys, the runner-up, a Grade 1 stakes winner, would come back out of that race to win a Grade 3 at the Fairgrounds with a 99 buyer speed figure. The one worry I have is I go back to some of this horse's other turf races, and it leaves me a bit cold.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here and whether or not he can, finally take the step forward that it feels like he needs to, Dan. I mean, your point's kind of well taken, though. I mean, he was never going to win the Bradley when they went back to turf with him in January. His prior turf start was at Kentucky Downs. I mean, I'm happy to sort of be a little lenient on him there. I actually feel like the horse that beat him at Indiana last summer, I think that horse is actually okay. This horse finished a decent 3rd that day. I wouldn't be shocked if he improved, but he does have to improve.
If you're looking for a dirtied up horse at a price, going out for good connections, how about the 10 Nautilus? This horse was a Group 1 winner on turf in Brazil. His 1 start on turf in the United States, I guess we could forgive him for not running too well in the Breeders' Cup turf. Since then, they've run him twice on the all-weather. One was not a bad race, going a mile and a 16th, and then they stretched him all the way out against a pretty good field of synthetic horses last time out. Maybe he can just kick on in this race if there's enough pace.
Yeah, maybe. I guess that's a fair way to look at him. I don't really know how to feel about him, Dan. I can't say that I love either of his two all-weather races. I guess I don't care about the Breeders' Cup. I'm not even sure why he was in there. But he kind of seems like a horse. I understand why they went long with him. He seems like a horse who wants to go long, or at least he did in South America. His major, Group 1 win there was going a mile and a half, and that was a bit of an upset for him. I mean, I don't know. I guess his overall form's okay. I won't argue if you like him at a price. I just didn't like him.
Hidden Stash is the number 11, and this horse is fairly well traveled and has done some good things in his career. He was second in the Tampa Bay Derby. He did compete in the 2021 Kentucky Derby, and now they're sort of trying to recast him as a middle distance turf horse. I think his last race is a little bit better than it looks. I know he was the beaten favorite. He got wired that day as a first-time gelding, and I think he could take a step forward, albeit from a lousy post position.
Exactly. I'm with you on his last race. I thought he ran fine in there in a race that he didn't really have a fair chance to win. He's got such a bad post in here. I feel like it kind of works against him, but he's definitely a horse that I want to use. Even when they finally switched him over to turf last year, I mean, all those races are good. He's in against Shirl Spite first time in grass, gets wired in his next turf start, gets wired in his next turf start, running a 94 Beyer. He got wired again last time. I mean, this horse overall, his turf form is actually pretty good.
Number 12 is February Sun, and it looked like he was getting good towards the end of his 2022 campaign. A win at Colonial 2 starts back, followed by this effort at Horseshoe Indianapolis on October the 19th, a race in which he fell pretty far back, and he comes with a good solid run to finish second, and the third place horse would end up hitting the board in his next start for $40,000 with an 82 Beyer speed figure. This might be a tougher field than the race we're showing, however, and this is another horse from a tough post.
Yeah, I think this race is a lot tougher than the one we're looking at here. I felt like he got a great ride in that race. The old in out, he had a real look at that thing, but he wasn't quite doing enough to get there. Man, he's going to have to run a lot better than that from post 12.
There are several horses on the also eligible list, including the 13 Mutakatif. To be perfectly honest, none of those horses really excite me. I'll take wait and see approaches on all of them.
I will too. I'll have to admit here, though, that I was a pretty big fan of Eyes on Target, the 15 last year when Maker took over, but he really failed to win me over as that year went on.
Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Thursday race of the day. Verbal's the horse to beat. I think he's going to give a good account of himself, and he probably has the tactical speed to sit a fine trip, maybe even a pace-tracking, ground-saving, harness pocket journey.
I thought he was going to get a good trip in here, Dan. I think there's so much room to improve in this race, and I actually think overall his form is maybe even better than it looks. I think he's supposed to be really tough in here. The other horse for me was the 11 Hidden Stash. I'm just hoping he can get a trip this time.
I'm hoping strong quality. The 7's new horse on turf. Sure looked a lot better and a little bit more comfortable on the grass last time out at Gulfstream. It was not a great field he beat that day, but I'd like to see him get aggressive out of the gate and try to take this field gate to wire. 111.36 for Mike, 7153 for me in the Thursday DRF race of the day, the 8th at beautiful Keeneland. Good luck.